Okay?
Please introduce yourself again.
Okay.
Retired Lieutenant Colonel, yes?
My name is Joe Estores. I'm a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel. I went to St. Louis School here. I'm actually a World War II December 7th survivor. I lived at a place called Fort Kamehameha. My father was stationed there. And on December 7th, when the attack happened, in order to get out of Fort Kamehameha, you had to drive through Hickam to get out. So we had to drive and evacuate during the bombing. I was the oldest of 8 children. We had to drop my father off because all military guys were called back to duty. We dropped him off, my Hawaiian mother, 8 children, in a wonderful Packard. Anybody remember what a Packard is?
Yep.
It was an old car, top speed, 35 miles an hour. And we went through Hickam to escape during the bombing. So I'm a Pearl Harbor survivor. There's not very many of us Kupunas still living that could claim that. So I've been invited back. Incidentally, I live in Vegas for now. I've been invited back for the Pearl Harbor ceremonies. I just recently celebrated the 75th anniversary of December 7th. And I'm privileged to be called back for many of those ceremonies. I'm going to be quick. I hope I don't bore any of you, but I'm going to squeeze 100 years of time into 2 hours. So let me have just 2 hours. Okay? As I stated, I grew up witnessing December 7th. Do the math. Someone said he lived here 75 years. I think I'm a little bit older than that. Anyway, I spent 20 years in the Army. I enlisted, and when they talked about the movie Hawaii being filmed here, I experienced that also. So I'm going to start with my connection to this place. As a child in the 40s, 1940s, my tutu, who is pure Hawaiian, brought me to the cave, the Mākua Cave. She set me on the side and said, "Stay there, don't make noise, wait." She went down into the cave, and about 45 minutes later she came out and we left. I've experienced that quite a bit. That was my first encounter with Mākua, the cave. Later on in life, I found out that the reason why she went down in the cave. And at that time, there was a trail. It was not a road. It was the railroad tracks that went around Kāneana Point that went all the way up to Haleiwa. And incidentally, I rode that train in the 8th grade of my school. I rode the train around Kāneana Point. My grandmother's Hawaiian god was Mano. Mano is the shark. And Mākua Cave, it has an underground stream that connects to the ocean at that time. She went down into the cave to connect with her god, the shark. This is part of Hawaiian culture. And that's what I was told, and that's what I believe. So that was my connection to the cave. Fast forward, I'm in the Army. I went to flight school, flew aircraft in Korea. I flew helicopters in Germany. And when I was here in 1964, I was the instructor pilot for helicopter gunnery, and I was in charge of the aerial gunnery training school here at Schofield and Wheeler. My job at that time was to come here into this valley and design the aerial gunnery targets. And then I would bring my pilots and my door gunners, and this was in 1964, even before the public knew that the United States Army was in Vietnam. We were doing this all in secret. So I designed the aerial gunnery training area here, and I had my troops come in here and shoot them up. So folks, when I come to this place, I am connecting back to my past, Mākua Valley, Mākua Cave, and now Mākua Army Installation. At that time, I was wearing the United States flag on my shoulder. Today I come back and I spend a few minutes at the ahu that we came from, and I asked permission, as our protocol calls. I asked permission to come back into this valley. Likewise, I asked for forgiveness because I am that American soldier that built one of the firing ranges here. A sad testimony of my history. So I come here to reconnect, to ask permission, and to ask for forgiveness. My special connection to this place. So I'm sharing this with you because I'm delighted that you all took the time to come out here and see this place. Enjoy what it is. Unfortunately, you're not enjoying what it was. When I came, when we put the 55-gallon drums painted white, when we put the targets down, they disappeared because they were so dense in the valley. So we slung load. Our helicopters brought the three 55-gallon drums cabled together, all painted white so we could see them. And when we dropped them where I said that's going to be where target number 1 is, it disappeared in the dense trees. There's no trees today. Okay? That's how dense it was up here. Beautiful. The streams, the little creeks were still running. They're not running today. They're dried up because the military fires that were caused by shooting up into this valley, including my gunners, and we shot rockets, machine guns, anything that we had on board the helicopters, because we were preparing for war. We were preparing the troops that were going to war. And today, I stand here before you, and I say to all of you, or I ask all of you, what war are we preparing for? What war? I've been through December 7th, the Cold War, Korean War, Vietnam War, the war on drugs, the war on terrorism, the war on homeless, the war. I am sick and tired of it. I think many Americans are finally realizing our taxes are being squandered for war. So as a Kupuna, an elder from the Hawaiian culture, I stand in front of you and ask, what war justifies us to have the military keep this place? I feel that the American honor that they promised that 6 months after World War II terminated, that they would return this land back to the families that were dispossessed, evacuated out of here. You see, when I flew in here, there were lo'is, taro patches. There were water systems. There were trees, fruits, and all kinds of living things up here. And I was one of those that caused it to be the way it is today. So I ask all of you to pause a moment and reflect on why we are constrained to come into this place to see something that belongs to Hawaii. One of these days, hopefully, in my time, this place will return to Hawaii. It belongs to the Hawaiian people. Recently, I was given a map of this whole valley, and including the ocean. The map showed the names of the families that own the property here. And I was touched by that because, incidentally, is there anyone here today from one of those families? I don't see anybody. Well, the families that own this property are still waiting, but many of them are waiting from their graves. Just like my tutu, my grandmother, waited for her piece of homestead. She never got it. She died. The system that we are living under right now in Hawaii is not really taking care of Hawaiians. So I come back today. I've taken off my American flag. I put the Hawaiian flag here. I've taken out my Hawaiian American heart, and I put the Hawaiian heart here. That's what I stand in front of you as a Hawaiian, saying enough is enough. I think it's time for us to take care of the families who are still waiting to get their land back. 1941, I experienced the beginning of World War II, and that war ended in 45. And why hasn't the Army returned the land back to the people who owned it? That's just unfair, unjust. And I think the American people, in their honorable ways, if they really knew this place, they probably say it's time. So I appreciate the opportunity to share my little piece of history. That was only 20 minutes of my 2 hours. Any questions? You got hour and 20 minutes for questions.